Welcome to Butt and Butt Tutorials. I am Sheshadri, faculty for English. This session is for 10th grade ICSE English Literature. In this session, we are discussing the play by William Shakespeare, Merchant of Venice. Dear students, this is the second session for Act 1 and Scene 1. In the previous session, we had discussed it up to a certain extent. We will recall what we have done. This is part 2 of the same Act 1 and Scene 1, which we are going to do in this session. And finally, there will be a next session, which will be part 3. So Act 1, Scene 1, we will be doing it in 3 different sessions. One session we have already done. This is the second session which we are doing. So in the previous session, we had an introduction to all the characters of the play, and then these are the 3 salient points, 3 important points which we saw. First one is, we have seen that Antonio is a wealthy merchant in the shipping business, but he is in a sad mood. His friends, Salarino and Selanio, try to find the reason, but are unable to reach a conclusion. As a reply to what Salarino and Selanio are trying to tell him, Antonio asserts that he is not sad either because of his ships, nor is he involved in any affair with a lady. So we had come till this point in the previous session. We will see next how the play unfolds. Now, in this, it is still Selanio who is talking, and when Selanio is speaking, these 3 other friends of Antonio, they enter the scene. Now, enter Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Gratiano. It is Selanio who is doing this talking. So he says, "Here comes Bassanio, your most noble kinsman, Gratiano and Lorenzo. Fare you well, we leave you now with better company." So we see that is in the original text, we see the modern English. Bassanio, Lorenzo and Gratiano enter the scene. Then Selanio says, "Here comes Bassanio, your most noble relative, along with Gratiano and Lorenzo." And he says, "Goodbye, we will leave you to these better friends." And then Salarino says, "I would have stayed till I had made you merry if worthier friends had not prevented me." So what Salarino is trying to say is, he's got some other business also which he has to attend. So in English, when we see modern English, it says, if it weren't for these better friends coming along, I would have stayed until I made you smile. But it also means that it is not just because of Bassanio, Lorenzo and Gratiano coming, but it is also that he has some other business to attend. To which Antonio says, your worth is very dear in my regard. I take it your own business calls on you and you embrace the occasion to depart. In English, I see you very worthy. I gather you have business to take care of and are just taking this opportunity to leave. At this point, they are now entering the main stage. Enter Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Graciano, to which Celerino is greeting them. Good morrow, my good lords. In modern English, it would be good day, my good lord. So he is just acknowledging their presence and he is wishing them. Now, when Bassanio sees both these people, Celerio and Solanio, he is addressing them. Bassanio, good signors both, when shall we laugh? Say when. You grow exceedingly strange. Must it be so? So, what Bassanio is trying to tell us, both of you are good men. When are we going to have fun times together? Tell me when. You are practically strangers now. Does it have to be that way? Now, actually, all these people are friends. It only says that they have not, Bassanio, Celerio and Solanio, they have not met for a long time. That is why Bassanio is saying, when is it that we will meet? And actually, before the exit, Celerino acknowledges that part and says, we will make our leisures to attend on yours. So what he is saying is, the next time we get a chance, we'll spend some more time together, because all these people are the common person there is Antonio, and these are all friends of Antonio, and they exit the scene, exit Celerio and Solanio. Now, Lorenzo also, who has come along with Bassanio and Graciano, he says, Lorenzo, my lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonio, we too will leave you, but at dinner time, I pray you have in mind where we must meet. Now, in modern English, it says, my lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonio, the two of us will leave you two alone. That is, he and Graciano are also preparing to leave the scene, but they are still there. But please remember where we are meeting for dinner. To which Bassanio is saying, I will not fail you. Or he means, I won't forget, and I will definitely make it for dinner. We will meet together for dinner. Then Graciano, who has now entered the scene, he comments on Antonio's presence and the way Antonio is looking. He says, you look not well, Signor Antonio. You have too much respect upon the world. They lose it that do buy it with much care. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. So basically, we have in the background, we know that Antonio is not in a very cheerful mood. We know that it was already conveyed till now that he is not in a good mood. So that is the same thing which even Graciano is commenting. So when we see the English version, it says, you don't look good, Sir Antonio. You care too much about worldly things. Those who care too much about things end up losing them. Believe me, you really don't look yourself. So what Graciano is trying to impress upon Antonio is he is unnecessarily bothering about a lot of things which he actually need not bother. So that is why he says they lose it that do buy it with much care. Means you don't need to think about what is happening to the whole world. You just take care of your life. That is what he is trying to convey to Antonio. For which the response of Antonio is, I hold the world, but as the world, Graciano. I hold the world, but as the world, Graciano. A stage where every man must play a part, and mine a sad one. You see how Antonio is still in the same frame of mind, and how he is answering Graciano. You see the English part, it says, I value the world for what it is, Graciano. A stage where every man must play a role, and my role is a sad one. So he, dear students, you please note his character. Shakespeare has created Antonio's character in such a way that he continuously projects this melancholic aspect, his melancholic aspect, or his sad aspect, or his disturbed aspect in the entire play. So in this case, he's saying, yes, Graciano, I am just a player of, and the whole world is a play. And the only thing is, my role in this play in the world is a sad one. That's what he's telling Antonio. That's what he's telling Graciano. To which Graciano is further adding, let me play the fool. What he means is, if you are playing the sad part, then let me play the comedy part in it. Let me become the joker in it. That's why he says, let me play the fool with mirth and laughter. Let old wrinkles come, and let my liver rather heat with wine than my heart cool with mortifying groans. Why should a man whose blood is warm within sit like his grandsire cut in alabaster, sleep when he wakes, and creep into jaundice by being peevish? Now, Graciano, just like Salarino and Celanio did, now it is Graciano's part to try to cheer up Antonio. He says, I would rather drink and die, or than waste my life. If you see the English text, it says, well, let me play the fool then. Basically, he means, you are playing the sad part, and I will then play the comedy part of it. I'll play the fool then. I don't care if laughter causes wrinkles. I'd rather destroy my liver with wine than waste away with sad groans. Then the next he is saying is, why should a warm-blooded man be as cold and stoic as a statue of his dead grandfather? In the text, when you say alabaster basically means it's like plaster of Paris. It's like plaster. So of which basically these POP statues which are made. So he says, why should somebody who is young and who is warm-blooded be cold and stoic as a statue of his dead grandfather? Why should he be so inactive that he is practically asleep when awake, and start to get jaundice from being cranky so much? In those times, during those Elizabethan times or those olden times, 16th century, 17th century, people thought that if you think too much, you will get jaundice. Actually, jaundice is a disease of the liver that we know medically now. But in those days, it was thought that if you think too much or if you are very sad, you will get jaundice. So that is why he is referring to jaundice. Why be so inactive and think so much and get jaundice? Dear students, we note that all the people who are meeting Antonio, they all want to cheer him up, and they are coming up with their own ways on how to do it. He is further continuing. Graciano is further continuing. I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee, and it is my love that speaks. There are sort of men whose visages do cream and mantle like a standing pond, and do a willful stillness entertain, with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, gravity, profound conceit. As who should say, I am Sir Oracle, and when I ope my lips, let no dog bark. See, what he is now again trying to say is, there are these kind of people, there are some kind of people who are actually putting on a face just to show to the outside world that they have a lot of wisdom and they have a lot of strength, whereas in reality it is not so. You see the modern English text. I'll tell you what, Antonio, I love you, and I'm speaking out of love. There are some people whose faces are so unmoving that they grow scum like a still pond, and they try hard to maintain a still expression so that they can seem to be wise, serious, and profound. Like someone who would say, I am Sir Oracle. Oracle actually is actually he is like a fortune teller. When you say oracle actually means when somebody is telling the oracle, it is like in the previous times when there is an oracle, it is like fortune telling. So it is like he is the fortune teller, and when he opens his lips, nobody should talk back. So what Graciano is trying to say is, maybe you are trying to put up a expression so that people may think that you are very wise and serious, whereas in reality it is not so. That is what he is trying to say. He is further continuing, O my Antonio, I do know of these, that therefore only are the reputed wise, for saying nothing, who I am very sure, if they should speak, would almost damn those ears which hearing them would call their brothers fools. What happens is, if such people who call themselves very wise, who look very serious, if they speak, the people who hear them will call them fools. I will tell thee more of this another time, but fish not this melancholy bait for this fool gudgeon, this opinion. So what is trying to say is, I will explain this to you one more time. When we see the text in English, oh my Antonio, these kind of men only have the reputation of wisdom because they say nothing. And I am sure that if they should speak, everyone listening would realize they are fools. So these people who put on a artificial stature of seriousness, artificial composure, saying they are very wise, actually when they speak, people will realize that they are fools. I will tell you more about this another time. But again, he is again poking Antonio. See how he ends it. He says, but stop trying to get people to think you're serious and wise by acting all melancholy. Okay, so this is my opinion, but you should stop trying to impress upon people. Actually, he also is not, even Graciano here is not recognizing the fact that Antonio is truly sad, is truly depressed. And even Antonio has told, he himself does not know why he is in that state of mind. Then he calls Lorenzo. He says, come, good Lorenzo, fare ye well a while. I will end my exhortation after dinner. He says, come with me now, good Lorenzo. Like Lorenzo had already told that they would leave Bassanio alone to speak with Antonio. So they say, goodbye for now, Antonio. I'll finish the rest of my encouraging speech after dinner. In any case, all of them are again meeting for dinner. So he says, whatever I have not said now, I will tell you after having dinner. Then Lorenzo, well, we will leave you then till dinner time. I must be one of these same dumb wise men, for Graciano never lets me speak. Obviously, the kind of dumb wise men whom Graciano was referring to, Lorenzo says that he is like one of them. Actually, what he means is Graciano generally doesn't let him speak. That's what Lorenzo is saying. When you see the text in English, it says, well, we leave you until dinner time then. I must be one of these dumb but wise seeming men he talks about, because Graciano never lets me speak. So what comes out here is between Bassanio, Lorenzo and Graciano is used to talking more. So that is what, in fact, even when Bassanio starts next, he also points this out. Graciano, well, keep me company for 2 more years. Thou shalt not know the sound of thine own tongue. So he, that's what he tells Lorenzo. Well, stick around with me for 2 more years and you will forget what your voice even sounds like. So he says that only he will keep talking and he will not let the others talk. To which Antonio is commenting, farewell, I'll grow a talker for this gear. He's saying, goodbye, I will start to talk more now. That is for this particular occasion. When they're talking now and when they're also meeting for dinner, he says, I will talk more. Now, before leaving, Graciano gives another example. Thanks, I faith, for silence is only commendable in a neat's tongue dried and a maid not vendible. Here it is given as a neat's tongue. Actually, what they mean is a ox's tongue. You know, when they eat, when you have beef, and when the tongue of the ox there is dried and it is part of your food that you are eating, then obviously it is silent. And the second one is the a maid not vendible, means it is a woman who is not very pleasing and who is not very cooperative, and who even it also points to a person, a maid or a lady who has not been able to get into a marriage. So when we see the modern English text, thanks, because in fact the only tongues that should keep quiet are beef tongues on the dinner plates and those of uncooperative maids. So he says it is a good thing, Antonio, that you have decided to talk. So, and he says that, and both Graciano and Lorenzo exit. Now, the persons left there, it's only Antonio and Bassanio. Now, to which he is now questioning, based on, because Bassanio is listening all along when all this dialogue is happening. So, is that anything now? He is asking Bassanio, what do you think of all that? To which Bassanio has his own comment. He has own satirical, he has own very criticize. He criticizes the way Graciano speaks. Bassanio, Graciano speaks an infinite deal of nothing, more than any man in all Venice. His reasons are as 2 grains of wheat hid in 2 bushels of chaff. You shall seek all day, there you find them, and when you have them, they are not worth the search. So basically, what Bassanio is commenting to Antonio is, what Graciano speaks is nothing big. It is like, you know, he says 2 grains of wheat hidden in bushels of hay. It is like a looking, you know, it's like a looking for a, another saying is looking for a needle in a haystack. Even chaff is like that. The other part of the wheat, once the wheat is taken out, that is actually called chaff. So in the modern English text is, Graciano speaks an endless stream of nonsense, more than any man in all of Venice. Trying to find the point of what he is talking about, he is like looking for 2 grains of wheat in bushels of hay. You could look all day before you find them, and once you do, it's not even worth the effort you put into it. So basically, he says, don't think much of what Graciano is telling. You can just ignore what he says, because most of the time what he speaks is not important. So that's how he conveys it to Antonio. Then Antonio, well, tell me now, what lady is the same to whom you swore a secret pilgrimage that you today promised to tell me of? Now here comes the one of the most important points in this whole play, you know, where Shakespeare is bringing up the topic of a lady whom Bassanio has to impress. That leads to his borrowing the money, and that leads to a large portion of this play. So the modern English text is, well, then tell me who the lady is that you made an agreement with to go on a secret trip. You promised to tell me today. To which Bassanio is not first directly answering. Please remember, Bassanio, we have seen in the beginning of the character list that Bassanio is a noble man, no doubt. He is a man of very high class, but he has wasted and spent a lot of money, and as of now he's got nothing. So that part is what he's trying to tell Antonio. It is not unknown to you, Antonio, how much I have disabled mine estate by something showing a more swelling port than my faint means would grant continuance. What he is saying is, Antonio, you know, I have been using up my wealth, living a more lavish life than I can afford. Now, this is his characteristics, but the only thing is, Antonio is his close friend. So he is just pouring his heart out to Antonio. To which he is further continuing. Bassanio is further continuing. Nor do I make moan to be abridged from such a noble rate, but my chief care is to come fairly off from the great debts, wherein my time something too prodigal hath left me gagged. Means he is now in real trouble, he is broke. That's what he is confessing. To you, Antonio, I owe the most in money and in love, and from your love, I have a warranty to unburden all my plots and purposes, how to get clear of all the debts I owe. What has happened is, he's already borrowed a great deal of money from Antonio and he has spent it off. So it is like, to clear those debts, he again has to go for a loan. So loan over a loan, and he again comes in the coming slides where he tells how he plans to do it. So let's see the text in English. No, I am not complaining about having to be more frugal, but I do care about fairly paying off the debts that I incurred while I was living beyond my means. He is aware that he is overspending, but he's telling Antonio that he is very aware of that, and he is feeling sorry that he has to pay that money back, and he is really honest about it. I owe the most to you, Antonio, both in money and in love. And because we are good friends, I know I can tell you all my plans and plots for paying back all the debts I owe. He is honest, he's sincere, he wants to pay it back, and that's what he's telling Antonio. Antonio, I pray you, good Bassanio, let me know it. And if it stand as you yourself will do within the eye of honor, be assured my purse, my person, my extremist means lie all unlocked to your occasions. Now, Antonio, we have known from the beginning, he is not basically a money lender, he is a merchant. But now and then when friends are in trouble, he gives them money and he doesn't even charge interest for it. So he is again telling the same thing. Please do tell me, good Bassanio, and if your plan is as honorable as you still are, rest assured that I will help you with my money, myself, and whatever other ways I can. So you have my money, you have my own efforts, and whichever I have to bend backwards to get your needs, definitely I will do it for you, is what Antonio is telling him. You don't have to hesitate that you already owe me money, but please go ahead and please tell me. To which Bassanio is telling him of one incident which happened during his school days. Bassanio, in my school days, when I had lost one shaft, I shot this fellow of the same flight, the self-same way with more advised watch, to find the other fourth, and by adventuring both, I oft found both. What he is trying to tell us, he is trying to give an example that to cover one loan, he has to go for another loan. I urge this childhood proof because what follows is pure innocence. I owe you much, and like a willful youth, that which I owe is lost. You see the text in English. Back during my school days, I was shooting arrows once and lost one. So I shot another arrow the same exact way and paid better attention to it so that I could follow its course, and it led me to the first arrow. So what he is indirectly hinting, I have already lost the money on the loans that you have given me. You will have to give me one more loan so that I will try to return both the amounts to you. So he is giving this parallel example of his school days. With this example from my childhood in mind, listen to my plan, which is completely innocent. I owe you a lot, and like a rash young man, I have lost the money I owe you. Obviously, the money that he has already borrowed, he has spent it out. and now he has to borrow again. But if you please to shoot another arrow that self way, which you did shoot the first, I do not doubt, as I will watch the aim, or to find both, or bring your latter hazard back again and thankfully rest debtor for the first. So he is trying to give the same example and says, it is to fulfill my first debt that I have to go for one more debt. So modern English text says, but if I shoot another arrow the same way you shot the first, by lending me money again, I have no doubt that I will bring both arrows back to you, because I will watch the second one more carefully, or at least I will bring back the first and remain in debt for your second. So he says, this time I will be more careful with the money I borrow from you. At least I will try to repay the first loan that I had taken from you. Now, Antonio, he is again reassuring him. You know me well, and herein spend time to wind about my love with circumstance, and out of doubt you do me now more wrong. So he says, don't doubt me. You have to trust me. It is not at all an issue that you have borrowed money, but you trust me and tell me. Then if you had made waste of all I have, then do but say to me what I should do, that in your knowledge may by me be done, and I am pressed unto it. Therefore speak. He says, do not have any doubts that I am feeling bad that you had already not repaid the earlier loan. Please tell me, what is it that I need to do? The modern English text says, you know me well and you're wasting your time complicating my affection for you with explanation and reasoning. He says, you don't have to explain so much. I'm ready out there, ready to help you with my own efforts, my money, and even beyond my means. You do me more wrong in doubting that I love you enough to lend you more money than if I had wasted all of my money. So he simply also, and Antonio is basically a prosperous person. He is a rich person. It doesn't matter to him. Even otherwise, it doesn't matter to him. So that is why he is so sure about it. Simply tell me what you would like me to do, and I will do it. Tell me. So he says, you speak. Dear students, our this session of Act 1, Scene 1, Part 2, we will be ending here. It will be concluding in the next part. So, Act 1, Scene 1, we have completed Part 1 in the previous session. We have completed Part 2 in this session, and it will be concluded in the next part. Any doubts, please contact us on these numbers, or you can send a message in Bhatt and Bhatt Tutorials mobile app chat section. Thank you.